HIMARS redefined modern artillery, but in a world of persistent drone surveillance and electronic warfare, is precision enough to survive? We're putting the Swedish Archer's 20-second shoot and scoot cycle against the long-range dominance of the HIMARS. In a high-intensity conflict, speed isn't just an advantage, it is the only way to outrun a lethal counter-battery strike. What happens when the sky is saturated with enemy drones and your GPS signal vanishes? While the HIMARS strikes from a distance, the Archer's total automation allows it to fire and disappear before the first shell even hits the ground. We analyze if Sweden's elite mobility offers superior tactical survivability over the world's most famous rocket system in 2026's deadliest combat zones. Is the reign of the HIMARS being challenged by a Swedish masterpiece of engineering? As NATO integrates the Archer's rapid-fire capabilities into its logistics, the battlefield math is changing. We break down the synergy of mobility and firepower to see if the Archer can actually outperform the HIMARS when the environment turns into a saturated electronic warfare nightmare. In 2026, the most dangerous sound on a battlefield may not be an incoming shell. It may be the quiet buzz of a drone overhead. Once an artillery launcher is detected, the countdown begins. A surveillance drone marks its position. Sensors transmit the coordinates. Counter-battery radar confirms the firing point. And then artillery shells, precision rockets, or loitering munitions are sent to destroy it. The question is no longer only how far a weapon can fire. The real question is how quickly it can disappear. Welcome to Skyjet Wings. Today, we are comparing two of the most important Western fire support systems on the modern battlefield: Sweden's Archer 155mm self-propelled howitzer and America's M142 HIMARS rocket launcher. This is not simply a competition between two machines. Archer and HIMARS were designed for different layers of war. One delivers rapid and repeated cannon fire close to the front line, while the other reaches far beyond it to destroy valuable targets deep inside the enemy's military network. By the end of this video, we will answer the question that matters most in a drone-saturated conflict. Which platform has the better chance of firing, surviving, and fighting again? The first major advantage of Archer is not its shell, it is time. Archer can receive a fire mission, stop, prepare the weapon, and fire its first round in less than 30 seconds. After completing the mission, it can be moving again in less than 30 seconds. It can fire several rounds, leave the firing position, and travel hundreds of meters in under 2 minutes, while its crew remains protected inside an armored cabin. That completely changes the survival equation. Archer's automated magazine carries 21 projectiles, and the crew can select the ammunition, calculate the firing solution, load the gun, and fire without standing outside beside the weapon. In a battlefield watched continuously by drones, this is not simply a convenient feature, it is human protection. Every second saved inside the kill zone gives the crew another chance to return home. Every automated movement reduces physical exhaustion, confusion, and exposure when enemy drones may already be searching nearby roads, forests, and buildings. HIMARS is also a highly mobile weapon. It was never designed to remain stationary and exchange fire with enemy artillery. It carries a sealed pod containing 6 GMLRS rockets or other compatible long-range missiles, and can launch its weapons before moving to another position. However, HIMARS survives differently. Archer compresses the entire frontline firing cycle into seconds. HIMARS often relies on greater distance, dispersed firing locations, camouflage, deception, carefully planned escape routes, and protection from friendly air defense systems. Its operators must protect not only the launcher, but also replacement rocket pods, reload vehicles, communication systems, fuel supplies, and the roads connecting them. This is the first major difference. Archer is designed to live inside the violent rhythm of frontline artillery, while HIMARS is designed to influence the battle from much deeper positions. Now we reach the argument that made HIMARS famous: range and precision. standard GMLRS rockets can strike targets beyond 70 kilometers. This allows HIMARS to attack ammunition depots, command centers, bridges, air defense positions, troop concentrations, and logistics hubs located far behind the front line. Other missiles compatible with the launcher can extend that reach much further. Archer's conventional 155mm ammunition can reach approximately 40 kilometers. Excalibur precision-guided rounds can travel beyond 50 kilometers, while bonus anti-armor ammunition can strike targets at shorter distances. On paper, HIMARS clearly owns the distance. However, distance is not the same as certainty. GMLRS rockets combine inertial navigation with satellite-assisted guidance. In an environment filled with electronic warfare, GPS jamming and signal spoofing can reduce accuracy. Combat experience has shown that electronic warfare can affect the performance of some precision-guided weapons. However, saying that HIMARS becomes completely useless under GPS jamming would be an exaggeration. A guided rocket still has inertial navigation, and its final performance depends on the weapon version, target distance, strength of the jamming, software updates, intelligence quality, and the tactics used by the launching unit. Electronic warfare creates a constantly changing contest. It is not a magical defensive shield.
Archer does not receive complete immunity either. A conventional unguided artillery shell cannot have its own GPS signal jammed because it does not contain a GPS receiver. Once it leaves the barrel, velocity, gravity, weather, and ballistic calculations determine its path. However, the drone identifying the target can be jammed. The radio transmitting the coordinates can be disrupted. The digital fire control system can be attacked, and the sensor correcting the next salvo can also be deceived. When Archer fires an Excalibur precision-guided shell, it again becomes dependent on satellite-assisted navigation. Therefore, the real comparison is not between an electronic weapon and an electronic warfare-proof weapon. It is a comparison between different levels of dependence on the digital battlefield. HIMARS can deliver a smaller number of expensive and powerful effects against deeper and more valuable targets. Archer can deliver repeated fire, switch between different shell types, and reposition rapidly to support troops that need artillery assistance immediately. This creates a difficult tactical trade-off. Is it better to hit a high-value target 80 kilometers away or deliver high-volume fire at 40 kilometers and disappear before the enemy can respond? The answer depends on the mission, the terrain, the enemy's surveillance network, and the amount of ammunition available. Then comes the part that dramatic comparison videos often ignore: logistics. A HIMARS rocket pod is an effective logistics concept. The rockets arrive inside a sealed launch container. After firing, the empty pod is removed and replaced with a loaded pod. This simplifies ammunition handling at the launcher. However, each pod is large, specialized, valuable, and dependent on a protected transport network. If the enemy destroys the rocket transports or identifies the reload points, the launcher may survive but still lose its ability to fight.
Archer carries 21 shells inside its automated magazine and can carry a mixture of projectiles and modular charges. That gives the crew greater flexibility across different missions. However, cannon artillery consumes ammunition at a frightening rate. During a high-intensity battle, the gun may be extremely fast, but the real pressure falls on the ammunition trucks, storage sites, roads, loaders, maintenance personnel, and factories feeding it. A weapon without a reliable supply chain quickly becomes an expensive piece of machinery parked behind the front line. Sweden's integration into NATO strengthens joint planning, training, procurement, and ammunition interoperability. It also improves access to wider stocks of 155mm ammunition and shared logistics systems. The original Archer fleet is mounted on a Volvo articulated 6x6 chassis, while newer systems are being produced on the Rheinmetall MAN HX2 8x8 military truck. This means future Archer fleets may not rely on only one chassis type, but the use of established commercial and military truck technologies can still support maintenance and spare parts availability. HIMARS also benefits from an increasingly international supply chain, with European countries expanding missile production, ammunition storage, and launcher support. The larger truth is that this competition is not only about which launcher is more powerful. It is about which alliance can manufacture, transport, repair, reload, and replace ammunition during a long war. So, which platform is superior against a peer adversary equipped with drones, counter-battery radar, electronic warfare, integrated air defense, and loitering munitions? For frontline attrition warfare, Archer may possess the stronger survival rhythm. Its automated weapon, protected crew, mixed ammunition magazine, rapid first-round time, and fast displacement are designed for repeated fire missions under continuous enemy observation. It can appear, fire and leave before the enemy's sensor-to-shooter chain fully closes.
For operational shaping, HIMARS remains the more powerful instrument. It can attack the systems that allow an enemy army to function. Headquarters, missile batteries, ammunition depots, bridges, air defense nodes, and reinforcement routes can all be targeted from long range. HIMARS does not need to win every artillery duel if it can destroy the military network supporting the enemy's guns. This is what makes the system so important. It does not only attack soldiers and vehicles, it attacks the structure behind the battle. The real verdict is that Archer does not replace HIMARS, and HIMARS does not make Archer obsolete. The most dangerous force is the one that combines them. HIMARS reaches deep and breaks the enemy's structure. Archer follows the moving frontline, suppresses enemy positions, protects maneuvering troops, and delivers sustained fire when soldiers need it most. One shapes the theater of war, while the other survives inside the fight. Is Archer the new gold standard for artillery survival? In many ways, yes. Its speed, automation, crew protection, and rapid displacement show exactly where modern cannon artillery is moving. However, the true gold standard is not one vehicle. It is a complete network of sensors, ammunition, electronic protection, camouflage, deception, logistics, trained crews, and commanders who understand that movement is survival. Because on the battlefield of 2026, firepower still matters, but firepower that cannot survive to fire again is only a one-time weapon. Now we want to hear your verdict. In a drone-saturated conflict, would you choose Archer's speed and sustained firepower, or HIMARS' range and deep strike capability? Share your answer in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to Skyjet Wings, and turn on notifications for more original, suspenseful, and analytical defense content. This is Skyjet Wings. Stay informed, stay sharp, and never judge a weapon by range alone.